Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook video updated on Friday the 1st of December. And the official start of meteorological winter, although November this year has been pretty wintry at times with frequent northerly winds. Bit of a change in the short term now, we're getting less cold air just moving in from the Atlantic for a few days and a slow thaw taking place, although higher terrain, particularly in Scotland, staying broadly frozen through this weekend and maybe even to the start of next week. And the signs are that cold air is coming back down from the north as we go through the week. A bit of a battleground taking place, and with that could come severe gales or storm force winds at times through midweek, and some significant snow may well occur as an Atlantic frontal system moves through. Let's have a quick look at the weekend though, and this is the chart for Saturday. We've got a warm front that's just sinking southwards, or it will have done overnight, and that just introduces that less cold air. Another front lies towards the north of Scotland, which will just turn some rainfall that bit more persistent across the northwest Highlands. Strongest winds are across the far north, including perhaps the Cairngorms, and likely to strengthen to gale force, 40 or 50 miles per hour on the mountains. Lighter winds across the mountains of England and Wales. And just to run the rainfall sequence on, you'll see how there's dregs of rain across England and Wales. It may not amount to a great deal, but could just be persistent for a few hours across the hills of Wales. Not a great deal across central southern Scotland and northern England. That front that I mentioned just coming into the northwest Highlands though, just turning gradually wetter. Some sleet or maybe some partly refrozen rain, just with that air still close to freezing. That front will then start to sink southwards overnight. It's a cold front, but it doesn't change the air temperature a great deal, and it's a weak feature that drifts southwards across central southern England. But a warm front that comes back from the Atlantic is likely to be across western areas into Sunday. So that's Sunday's chart, and we may well see the dregs of a front just across western areas from Wales up towards Dumfries and Galloway, perhaps even taking in the Lake District and western Scotland with just outbreaks of drizzly rain and low cloud, but never really amounting to a great deal. Winds again are west or northwesterly, somewhere around 30, perhaps 35 miles per hour on the higher tops. Let's have a look at temperatures, and this is the 850 millibar chart. It's that standard pressure level that we use in forecasting, and that's around 5,000 feet in the atmosphere at this time. It's around 0 or just above at that height, so we're talking about temperatures on the highest summits just being a little above freezing point, but just that slow thaw taking place over the days ahead. If we just run this sequence on, you'll just get the general feel for things into next week, and there's not a great deal changing in the short term. Somewhat milder air comes in around Tuesday, Wednesday, uncertainty just at the northern extent of that, because we've got fronts to the north of Scotland that will try and come back southwards as we run through into Thursday and Friday. Watch how temperatures plunge from the north as that wind direction changes. That's where we're talking about properly wintry conditions and the scope for snow returning widely. So back to the pressure charts, and this is Monday. We've got high pressure focused quite strongly to the southwest of the British Isles. We've got a warm front to the north of Scotland and some drizzly rain coming onto the western Highlands, low cloud plaguing most western mountains, highest cloud breaks further toward the east. And the strongest winds again look as though they're towards the far north, which are around 30-35 miles per hour or a bit stronger on the higher tops once again. Into Tuesday, and high pressure moves a bit further eastwards across central southern Britain. We're picking up on fronts coming in from the Atlantic. Strengthening winds could well be severe gale force on the higher Scottish mountains by the end of the day, 50-60 miles per hour or a bit stronger, somewhere around 40 miles per hour I suspect on the highest tops in England and Wales. Fronts moving in will bring the risk of some rain onto western mountains. Low cloud again always focused on those at western areas, and temperatures probably lifting a little bit further as well, so that thaw just continuing and maybe a little bit more marked for a time here. That fairly mild air stays with us through into Wednesday. We've got a frontal system that's trailing across Scotland, giving some heavier falls of rain across the western Highlands, dregs of rain and drizzle elsewhere on western hills in England and Wales. A deepening area of low pressure lies to the west of us, and it's that that's going to try and move in quickly by Wednesday night, it looks like, into Thursday. And to the north of that frontal zone, colder areas trying to cut down from the north, and there's the chance that even on Wednesday, northern Scottish mountains may start to go below freezing, and that rain is actually more like snowfall. But I think it's just the far north that at the moment seems most likely to see that. Now, a long way to go yet, but there's the potential at least for Thursday, a vigorous area of low pressure passing across the country. We've got some very cold air then tucking in on the back of that system, which could give that extensive snowfall even to quite low levels in Scotland, perhaps getting as far south as northern England as well, and widespread storm force winds possible on the mountains. Much can change with that one yet, but just expect something very unsettled into the second half of the week. And the plan towards the end of the week is that cold northerlies are back with us. We're very much back to square one with where we've been in recent times, that bands of snow and hail showers feeding down from the north and freezing levels down at two very low levels. Eventually pressure may begin to build again from the west and we transition back into something less cold as time goes on through the weekend. And finally, trying to look at things slightly further ahead and looking at the very big picture around the Northern Hemisphere on this chart. This is essentially pressure anomalies in the middle atmosphere. What we've got is a big area of high pressure, somewhere likely to be over the North Atlantic, and low pressure focused over Scandinavia, so drawing in cool or cold north to northwesterly winds across the country. There's the scope that low pressure may be quite near to us, in which case a fairly showery air mass is going to be around and maybe just keeping things on the chilly side for a spell. We're watching, though, what's happening over the United States and Canada, because we've got a zone of low pressure towards the eastern half of the country that's going to draw some very cold air out of Arctic Canada towards the Great Lakes and into the northeastern side of the USA over the weeks ahead. And what that tends to do is fire up the jet stream that goes out into the North Atlantic. So eventually that zone of high pressure that's over the Atlantic could get eroded away, and we could start to see a much more changeable pattern coming in off the Atlantic, some maybe stormy conditions at times. The battle then between milder and colder air masses will return, and I think that may be the theme as we head through mid-month. And much can change, so that's just the initial ideas. Stay right up to date then with the very latest details updated every single day here at the Mountain Weather Information Service. Thanks for watching, bye for now.